All right, everybody, Snakes here. Welcome back to the channel. Um, this is going to be more of a advanced guide for the Burning Crusade Anniversary Kebab Warrior. I got a lot of comments on my last video asking a bunch of questions. And to be honest, I really did not expect to get the amount of reactions and views and comments and people wanting to know about this that I did. So that last guide was pretty basic. So I'm going to dive a lot deeper into some of the more nuanced things with that spec, as far as, you know, things like we're going to get into right now, which is we're going to get into the kebab overview, talents, stats. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into gearing considerations. We're going to talk about weapons, weapon speeds, consumables, enchants, gems, niche abilities, cooldowns, and rotations. I'm just gonna get into a little bit deeper of just a little bit deeper than I did in the last video, so it's gonna be a little bit longer. Um, but before I get into that, thanks everybody that commented, liked the video, even some of the negative comments. Like, thank you guys for commenting. Appreciate that. It's really cool seeing that a lot of people are interested in this spec. Um, and yeah, so I'm going to give more of a deep dive into it, and we're going to get right into it now. Um, all right, so kebab overview. It's really not too much different than my last video. Kebab basically means dual wield arms warrior. Now, kebab plays similarly to Fury and is more forgiving than slam arms. What that means is, as slam arms warrior, you have to your latency matters, your slam timing matters. You need a weapon swing timer to really watch to make sure you're not clipping your auto attacks. Basically, you have to, yeah, you have to watch all that. Um, you're less mobile because when you have to cast slam, you have to stand there, you can't move. Um, however, and with kebab, you're just basically running around and none of your abilities force you to stop moving. You can always press a button. You're generating a ton of rage with because you're dual wielding, and you're just able to just pump. Um, so basically, I'm sorry. What kebab brings to the table is you're going to bring your blood frenzy debuff. That's the whole reason that you're being brought to the raid. Basically, what that is a 4% damage increase to the target for the entire raid. Physical damage, that is. Um, you are going to have weapon mastery, which reduces the chances that your attacks will be dodged by 2%, which basically just gives you extra expertise. Improve discipline, which reduces the cooldown of your recklessness by 10 minutes and increases its duration. So not only is your recklessness longer, but the cooldown is shorter. So depending on your guild's kill speeds, you can pretty much be wrecking on any of the major fights. Um, I have sword spec on here. I did not include axe spec, but we're going to get into axe spec because there is a axe spec build for kebab. It's just a little bit different. Your weapons are going to be different. Obviously, gearing is just slightly different. We'll get into that in a moment. But for a sword spec, it gives you a 5% chance to get an extra attack on the same target after hitting a target with your sword. Basically, it's like an additional little mini hand of justice, or wind fury onto your weapon permanently. So that's pretty cool. This is talent. This is the talents. If you want to pause the video here, this is the talents for the sword spec. You can pause the video and screenshot it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull up 60upgrades.com, and we're going to go over the talents, and we're going to go over the axe spec talents as well. So this is the talents for sword spec, right? So we got our heroic strike. Improved heroic strike basically reduces the rage cost of your heroic strike. You need that. Deflection gives you a 5% extra chance to parry. Doesn't really increase your damage at all, but we need it to get down the tree. So, and it's always good. It might save your ass. Um, Iron Will increases your chance to resist stun and charm effects. Improved Thunderclap. Had a lot of people asking about this in the comments. If you use Thunderclap, when to use it. Um, Depending on your raid comp, depending on your raid team, your group, everything is going to depend if and when you use this. Um, if your guild or your raid team is running a protection warrior, you're not going to need to worry about this because they're going to end up having this. Um, and that'll be on the prot warriors to apply it. If you don't have a prot warrior, like my guild, we are running um, protection paladin and two ferals. So, or running a feral prot paladin, and then we have a flex feral tank. Um, if you're in a situation where there's like a lot of it's like a trash pack, a really heavy hitting trash pack, to doing a lot of damage. Um, you can throw this on there. This will really help slow down your attack speed. If the tank's taking a ton of damage, you can throw this on there and help them out. But my suggestion to you would be to speak with your raid leader, your raid team, and kind of see if when they want you to use it. If they're like they don't care, like they're not worried about it, then don't worry about it. Just do your damage rotation. But if your guild's more of a casual guild and your kill times aren't really fast and your damage isn't super high, this can help not only your tanks, but it can also help your healers out a little bit. Um, so that's basically that with Thunderclap. It's situational use, and yeah, I would just talk to your raid leader and see when they want you to use it. Um, Anger management generates extra rage. Deep wounds crits cause the opponent to bleed, which also down here, blood frenzy, your rend deep wound ability increases all melee damage caused at a target by 4%, which is the whole reason you're being brought to the raid to begin with. If we were being brought for damage, we'd go Fury, but we're not. So, uh, yeah, you need deep wounds because that creates blood frenzy. The whole reason you're here. Impale increases your critical damage bonus of your abilities by 20%. Sword spec 5 out of 5 gives you a 5% chance to get an extra attack on the same target after dealing damage with your sword. Like I said before, it's like a little mini hand of justice, Wind Fury, extra damage proc, extra attack. Death Wish. But now, all right. So this is where I'm going to move over here and also show you the Orc slash Poleaxe version. So instead of taking, because the rest of this is all exactly the same, as you can see, they're exactly the same, except for we're changing out, instead of getting sword spec, we're getting poleaxe spec. So for the axe version, if you're going to play with dual axes, which you can do, basically gives you 5% extra crit with your axes. So that just means if you gear exactly the same, you will just have more crit, period. Um, However, depending on your weapons, you might have a little less attack power. You might have to gem differently. Um, but yeah, so poleaxe, or if you're gonna run orc and you want that because orcs have extra expertise with axes. Um, so if you're an orc, you want to run axe spec, you get more crit, more expertise, but you lose out on the extra swings. So they're kind of matched. If you don't have glaives or good weapons, axe spec is really good because axes are pretty easy to get. There's a really good axe from Prince, and then blacksmithing has a good option for axes as well. So you could pretty much get really good weapons early in phase one without too much competition. Um, so, anyways, we'll move back over here. Take that into consideration. But just know that you can play sword spec and axe spec. Also, something that you can do is if you want to craft. Actually, we'll get into that here in a minute, honestly. Then to get back down further into the tree, we need another point. Take improved intercept, reduces your cooldown on intercept, which helps you get back on target faster if you get knocked away from the boss. It's just nice to have a shorter cooldown on intercept. Improved disciplines reduces the cooldown of your recklessness by 10 minutes, increases its duration by 6 seconds. Blood frenzy and mortal strike. This is our other main ability that is basically our bloodthirst equivalent, but we don't get bloodthirst because we're armed, so we have mortal strike. Then we come over here to the fury tree. Cruelty, 5 out of 5 cruelty gives you 5% extra crit. Unbridled wrath gives you more rage when you deal melee damage. Yeah. 5 out of 5 commanding present increases the melee attack power bonus of your battle shout and health bonus of your commanding shout by 25%. This is big. You need this. Enraged gives you 25% melee damage bonus for 12 seconds up to maximum 12 swings after being the victim of a crit or taking this to get down into flurry. 2 out of 5 dual wield spec increases the damage done by your offhand by 10%. Sweeping strikes, this is what brings our AoE online. And if you were going to do this build at level 60 and do it while you're leveling, you basically go all the way down the arms tree, exactly the same, and then you'd come over here and do the same thing. You'd come down, get cruelty, get unbridled wrath, get commanding presence, and then get your dual wield spec, and then you'd start here, and then as you level, you just fill in the rest of these. So your level 60 would look almost exactly like this, except for you wouldn't have these couple of talents here. Sweeping strikes, weapon mastery reduces the chance for your attacks to be dodged by 2%, which is big. It's instead of needing 6.5% expertise, you need 4.5%, which is nice. Flurry increases your attack speed by 15% for your next 3 swings after dealing a melee crit. We have a ton of crit in this build. Kebab is just loaded with crit. So flurry is up a lot. So you're just attacking very, very fast all the time. Like I said, with the poleaxe spec, it's also exactly the same. You grab all the same things that you would. The only thing you're changing is sword spec and poleaxe specialization. So that's going to do it for stats. I'm going to bring this back down, bring the PowerPoint back up. All right, so as far as stats go, this isn't any different from the last video. You need 9% hit rating, which is 142 hit, or 6% if you trust your balance druid and you know that you're going to have improved fair fire up all the time, which I do. Someone commented in my last video that you should carry around an extra set of gear with you for when you're fighting non-boss mobs, so you can have more attack power and more crit. I'm not doing that. I don't know anybody that does that. You don't need to carry a second set of gear around. Nobody cares about trash damage. Nobody cares about overall damage. The people only ever care about boss parses. So if you're in a world where you care about overall damage, then sure, go for it and carry a second set around and only have 3% hit. But I don't recommend that to anybody. I think that's just ridiculous, honestly. But whatever. Hey, man, play the game however you want to play it. Then we're going to talk about expertise. The soft cap for expertise is 6.5%, 4.5% with the weapon mastery, which is why we take it. There's not a ton of expertise in phase 1, so you're not going to get that. You're not going to get to your expertise cap in phase 1. It's pretty hard to get. So keep that in the back of your head, especially for phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, phase 5. But yeah, just know that you're not going to get it in phase 1. It's really hard to get. I mean, you probably could, but you'd be lacking on other things. So, critical strike, very important for us. Crits give us deep wounds. Crits give us flurry. So, 30% crit unbuffed is a very good number to aim for. Unbuffed. Yeah. Strength, and then you also, after you have your hit, after you have your crit, you want to stack as much strength as possible because strength gives us attack power. But like what you're going to want to do is, this is kind of what I did not say in the last video, which I should have, because people start commenting, oh, well, you should do this. And you should. What you want to do is go to 60upgrades.com, create a character, put all your gear in it, where you're at right now at level 60, and sim your character, and it will tell you your stat weights, what will increase your damage the most. So if you need hit, it'll tell you how hit is simming the highest for you. You need to add a hit to your gear. If you're lacking, if you've got good hit, good crit, and you could use extra attack power, extra strength or attack power would increase your damage, it will tell you. So always sim yourself and follow stat weights no matter what. Don't just blindly follow a guide on the internet. This is a very good baseline, but your gear is not going to be exactly what my gear is. Your drops aren't going to be the same as mine. So it just saying that you're going to follow an exact thing online is kind of ridiculous. Just get in 60 upgrades and kind of play around with your crit and attack power, and use this as a very good baseline. Use this as a baseline and build off of it, basically. Um, Being able to think critically and figure out what adding, oh, if I add, this piece that has crit, or if I add this piece with attack power, how that's going to change your damage profile. Being able to do that will make you a much better player in the long run. Um, and yeah, I think that's just a really good thing to do. So we'll just move on from there. Some gearing. There's just going to be some gearing considerations, right? Your priority is get hit cap, which is pretty easy to get. After hit, you want to get as much crit as you can, up to, you know, you want to get to 30% unbuffed baseline. More is better. Um, then add in strength and attack power, and moving things around to find a good sweet spot of crit and attack power for you, um, based off of what sims the highest for you. Um, if you stack a ton of strength, your boss damage parses, especially within the recklessness window, are going to be much higher. But you also have damage lulls, because you won't be critting as much. And if you stack only crit, your top end damage will be a little bit lower because you're not going to have the strength or attack power when it matters the most. But you won't have as much of a dip, than you would. So just like I said here, find a good sweet spot, find what works for you, sim your character, and act accordingly. And we're going to talk about weapon speeds a little bit here. When you have a slow offhand, you will theoretically you could generate less rage, because you're not hitting as much. When you have a fast offhand, you're getting more white hits with a sword. This is with sword spec. Axe spec is this is pretty. You really don't even need to think about this in axe spec, to be honest with you. Um, but for sword spec, you get your if you have a sword in your offhand and it's a fast sword, every single time that sword hits, not only are you getting more white hits, which give you damage and gives you rage, so you're getting a lot of really fast hits that give you rage, but you're also getting more sword spec procs, which are giving you more additional procs, more additional attacks, which is giving you more rage. So, in the end, having a fast sword in your offhand will give you more rage over the duration of a fight. It just will. Um, how much and if that is going to cause any sort of DPS gain or loss is yet to be seen. That's going to depend on your playstyle, your raid, your gearing setup, the weapons that you have access to. Um, for me, I'm gonna have a fast offhand and I'm gonna play around with it, but I'm probably gonna run two slow hands, which you'll see in a little bit. Just because from what I've been playing with now, even at level 60, I am using the two High Warlord swords they're the same speed, which is actually not very good. You don't want your speeds to be the same because they can clip each other. Um, with like heroic strike is what I'm saying. There's like a heroic strike thing when heroic strike's queued and the weapons are desynced, you can still get white hits and it will give you rage. But that's like a very very niche thing. But anyways, as far as when I have the swords, I don't. I've been doing raids, Black layers and stuff like that, and I don't. I have the quick blade and I have the regular gladiator sword, and I don't notice any difference in my rage generation. Um, and damage. So I'm probably just going to use, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to use two slows. And if I get to a point where I'm rage starved or something, then I'll probably switch to the fast offhand just to kind of see what's going on. But yeah, having a slow offhand also will give you higher damage with Whirlwind because Whirlwind hits with both of your weapons. And you'll have a higher top end damage on a slower weapon. So your whirlwinds and cleaves, or your whirlwinds do more damage. Um, so yeah, there's that. And then your white hits will do more damage as well, but you won't be hitting as often or getting as many sword procs. But You're really just going to have to play around with it and see what works for you. If you like using a fast offhand, then use a fast offhand. If you like using a slow offhand, use slow offhand. The difference is going to be only noticed at the very, very, very top end of players who are like trying to absolutely min max everything and get 99 or 100 parses. So if that's not you, if that is you and that in your, you know, 99 parser or 100 parser, you probably don't need to watch this video for me to tell you how to play the class anyways. So yeah, anyways. Weapons. This is some more weapon stuff. You want your weapons to be desynced, which means not the same speed, for better rage generation. Example, having in your main hand you have a 2.7 speed, in your offhand you have a 2.6 speed. It means they're not hitting at the exact same time, and when you have heroic strike queued, um, that offhand will hit before your heroic strike goes off, and while heroic strike is queued, you do not get hit with the miss penalty, so you're guaranteed to hit. So that just generates a whole bunch more rage. Um, and there's a time if your weapons are the exact same speed, they'll hit at the same time, and that offhand can still miss because it doesn't count with the heroic strike. Um, I did test this a little bit, and I did notice that in the damage logs, there'd be times where it just wouldn't hit at all because it missed. You can use, as far as one hands, you can use a one-handed mace in your main hand. That's when in the mace that you would use to be, either Drake Fist Hammer in the beginning or then Dragon Maw um, with the sword in your offhand. But it's not as ideal as dual swords because you get less sword spec procs. However, in 2019, in the 2019, or I'm sorry, 2021 TBC Classic, there were a lot of people that used Dragon Maw in their main hand and a sword in their offhand, and they had really, really, really high parses, 99s, 98s, 97s, um, because of that haste proc on Dragon Ball is really good. So I'm also going to be crafting Dragon Maw, and I'm going to test it out. And when I kind of find out what works, I'm going to make more videos in the future and kind of dig into that. But if you are going to be swapping back and forth between playing Fury and playing Arms, if you're going to play Fury in your 10 mans and you're going to play, Kebab in your 25 mans, then it might just be a really good idea for you to make Dragon Maw and use Dragon Maw in your main hand and a sword in your offhand. Um, because then you're going to need the Dragon Maw for Fury anyways. So you might as well, and then see what works for you. And then if you get a good sword drop, try it with dual swords and see what works. Um, Again, also sim yourself because when you sim yourself, it will let you know what weapons are going to sim higher for you. And if Dragon Maw sims higher for you, then use Dragon Maw. Don't listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what the sim's telling you. Again, this is just a base guideline to help you, to help somebody or help anyone get into playing the spec. Um, Dual one-handed axe kebab is also really good. So instead of 5 out of 5 sword spec, you go 5 out of 5 poleaxe spec, which is kind of outlined here. Increases your chance to get a critical strike with axes polearms by 1%. And then every time when you get 5 out of 5, it's 5%. So you get extra 5% crit with axes and polearms. But yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about some consumables. The last video, I just did a really, really, really baseline consumable list, which is kind of this in front of you. I have another slide after this, which is like some extra more niche consumables. There was just some things I was kind of just focusing on the last video to be a really easy. You've never played Warrior before, you can just jump in, copy this real quick, and you will do well. So this is more of a niche thing, right? Flask of Relentless Assault. That's going to be your main go-to um, ability here, or your thing. It counts as both a guardian and a battle elixir. So you just pop this. You've got it for 2 hours. Persist through death. Good to go. Don't got to worry about it. Now, if you're going to fight a boss that is a demon, um, you would want to use the elixir of demon slaying here, which is your battle elixir, and then you would use your elixir of major fortitude. Um, for your guardian elixir. Your 2 minute potion that you're going to use, ideally during your bloodlust window or your recklessness window, is going to be your haste potion, which increases your haste rating by 400 for 15 seconds. Really good. Um, yeah, you're just attacking through the roof. Then these scrolls here do not count as guardian or battle elixirs, so you can stack these. So you want scroll of agility, scroll of strength, and scroll of protection, and basically that gives you extra armor, extra strength, extra agility for 30 minutes, stacked on top of this stuff. So now we're going to move into some more niche consumables here. Mighty, I want to start down here in the bottom right. Mighty Rage Potion down here. You'd want to use this if you're, doing trash pulls and stuff like that. You don't want to just burn through haste potions. Um, Rage potions are great for trash. Um, gives you rage, gives you strength, which equals attack power. It's really good. Free action potion makes you immune to stun and movement impairing effects for the next 30 seconds. So if you know a boss starts to fear right off the bat and you have boss timers, you can pop this early. You'll ignore the fear, and you're just good to go. You can keep pumping. Invisibility potions. This is more for uh, some top end guilds that, or if you're in like a dungeon or something and you're trying to skip some trash packs, you can have your group pop this and just move it past, skip those. Swiftness of Zanza, if for some reason needed, you wanted, like you're trying to speed run through some dungeons, instead of using the Fortitude elixir, you could use this here. Just increases your run speed by 20%. It's kind of nice. Um, Flame Cap is really good because you can just, this is basically the Burning Crusade version of Dragon Breath Chili. Um, it just you do extra fire damage to people around you. Um, then we're going to talk about our engineering stuff and our sharpening stones. So the sharpening stone. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man, I'm screwing up right now. Sharpening stones. You're going to want to put this on your offhand because you're going to have Wind Fury totem on your main hand, but your offhand increases your weapon damage by 12 and gives you 14 melee crit strike for an hour on your offhand, and it does persist through death. So that is nice. Then, as far as engineering goes, if you're really trying to be a sweat and really trying to push out as much damage as possible, engineering is a no-brainer. Not only do you have super sapper charges, which do a ton of damage, but you can also still use goblin sapper charges, which are nice. And then you can also use bombs like the adamantite grenade, and which I don't have listed on here, but adamantite grenade is a good one. And then the bigger one here, which is 600 to 1,000 fire damage and incapacitates targets for 5 seconds. Really good for dungeons. Really good for trash packs, like hard hitting trash packs. If everyone in your raid has engineering, you throw these down. So that's that could be 25,000 damage. Just boom right off the bat. Really nice. So that's gonna do it for consumables. And we're gonna talk about enchants. Um, so on your weapon, this is for phase one. I'm just gonna put that caveat out there because in a later phase, there's another weapon enchant that will come online um, that you want to replace one of your weapons with mongoose. But we'll get into that once we get into the later phase guides. If you didn't catch it in my first video, I am going to do guides for all the phases, and I'll pretty much make new videos anytime new information comes out. So, anyways, Mongoose, this is going to be your go-to for both your weapons, especially in phase one, phase two as well. Um, Basically, what that does is it will occasionally increase your agility and attack speed. Really good for obvious reasons. Agility is crit, attack speed is more attacks. It's very good. Um, Now, if these are too expensive for you, you can also run with a Crusader. However, it is not as effective at level 70 as it is at level 60. So just keep that in mind. It would be better for you once you get your good weapons to just put mongoose on them. Um, until I get either Spite Blade or the Gladiator sword. I'm probably like when I have like my Latros and my dungeon swords, I'm probably gonna put Crusader on them. Um, if I don't get any drops after the first week, and we get a mongoose or whatever, then I'll probably put mongoose on my weapons, depending on the price. But don't feel like you have to put mongoose on a blue weapon. Um, you can wait. Crusader. I mean, if you're trying to be a top parser, again, you probably don't need to watch this video for me to tell you that. But mongoose is definitely worth the gold. For your gloves, you're going to want major strength. It gives you 15 strength, no brainer. Um, for your head slot, you're going to use Glyph of Ferocity, gives you attack power and hit rating. Um, then for your shoulder enchant, the best one that you can possibly get is going to be the Might of the Scourge. That's from Nax. So if you're in a guild that wants to go back in and clear Nax every week so that you guys can get your best in slot enchants, then that is awesome. Definitely do that. Might of the Scourge is huge. But if not, I like the difference between Aldor and Scryer is not very much. I personally like Aldor better. Has attack power, crit, good to go. Legs, you're going to use Nether Cobra leg armor. It gives you 50 attack power and critical strike by 12. There is also a blue version of this, which is slightly less attack power and crit rating, and it's much cheaper. So again, if you don't want to fork out the gold for this, you can go with that. Bracers, you're going to want to put brawn on your bracers. It gives you 12 strength. Your chest, you want exceptional stats, increases your stats by 6. Your cloak, you're going to want to put agility on there. Agility gives you crit. And then down on your boots, you're going to want swiftness. Um, movement speed and agility, really good. Um, Now, as far as gems go, I'm going to say this caveat before I get into all these. Gem yourself based off of what your sims are saying. If I tell you that the inscribed noble topaz is the best thing to put in a red or yellow because it gives you both crit and strength, which is attack power, but your sims are telling you, hey, for my boss damage, the bold living ruby 8 strength, that's more attack power, that's giving me more top end damage, and that's how you want to gear your character, and you've got enough crit rating and you're happy with that, then go with that. So these are just basically the gems that you will probably be using. um, yeah. So for your meta slot, you can just, again, gem. I said before that you could use the one that gives you run speed if you wanted to. Um, but this one gives you more damage. Increase crit and agility. This is just a ton of crit, which is really good to have. So go with that. You can use this here for yellow or blue socket, the jagged talosite, which is 4 crit and 6 stamina. Um, because this, when you have this meta socket, you need a blue and a green. Um, I'm sorry, not a blue and a green. Yeah, you need a blue. I think it's blue and a yellow. Hold on, I do not have it pulled up right now. But if you use these two in your gear set, it will unlock the meta socket for you. Then you got your smooth dawnstone, which is 8 crit rating, bold living ruby 8 strength, and then the inscribed noble topaz, which is a red or yellow socket, and that's 4 crit and 4 strength. And then these two here in the middle, these are your PvP trinkets. You can get one of them; they're unique. Um, so kind of use whichever one sims the best for you. Either 20 attack power, 10 attack power, and crit rating. Um, but like anything else in this, don't just blindly follow what I'm saying. Gem or sim yourself and see what gems will yield the highest damage for you and the best upgrade for you, and then go with that. Again, this is just a baseline for you, um, so you can have something to look at and kind of figure out where you're going to go with things. Some situational abilities. These here are now. I actually have some notes I need to look at real quick before we talk about this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Actually, we're going to go back a little bit now to weapons and gear. Now, before I move on to anything else. All right, so we're going to talk about another thing real quick that somebody in my comments asked me about. They're asking which weapons that I'm going to be going for, before I get Spite Blade or the Gladiator Sword. And so I'm just going to pull up Wowhead and kind of show you what I'm going to be going for. Now, I am going into TBC launch with the Gladiator or with the High Warlord weapons. However, that will transition into the Edge of the Cosmos and my main hand from Mechanar. This is from Mechanar. We're going to be dungeon grinding, so this is probably just inevitably going to drop anyways. So I'm going to get this, and then I'll be running with Latro's Shift. Wow, my God. Sorry, guys, talking is hard today. Latro's Shifting Sword, which is expertise, attack power, 1.4 speed. And then we'll kind of go from there. And then once I get my upgrades as far as Spite Blade and the Gladiator Sword, we'll move into that. Now, I had a couple other questions in here. Right. Some people were asking about some abilities, which we'll move back over here to where we were going. Some abilities, and we'll get to this stuff here in a second, right? So somebody asked me if you ever use Rend, the ability Rend, and the answer to that is no, you don't. I know some tanks are using Rend in Classic because the debuff limit was removed. But we have so much crit, and we have wow, deep wounds right here. We have deep wounds, and we have so much crit. You don't need to worry about pressing Rend. Rend is going to be a DPS loss because, yeah, it just is. So some situational abilities for you that you're going to want to use is going to be your Berserker Rage. Now, this is really good. You go into a fight or you go into a trash pack, you pop this, and when you take damage, you gain extra rage. And it also makes you immune to fears, saps, incapacitating effects. Really, really nice. You can skip fear mechanics from bosses, from trash packs. You're gaining a ton of extra rage. This is a really good thing to be popping. Use this a lot. Use it a lot. Do not be afraid to use this. Use it all the time. It's only a 30-second cooldown. Use it on every pull. I use this a lot. Demo Shout, especially in trash packs and stuff like that, you're going to want to pop Demo Shout. It just reduces the melee attack power of all enemies within 10 yards by 300. It's really nice. They don't do as much damage to you. Then your improved Thunderclap is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Reduces the rage cost of Thunderclap by 4 and increases its damage by 100%, which doesn't matter because it doesn't do a lot of damage anyways, but it also increases its slowing effect by an additional 10%. So when you're talented into improved Thunderclap, you are slowing the enemy's attacks by 20%, which is really nice. So those are some situational abilities that you can use to help out your raid team and your dungeon team. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, Overpower. Somebody asked me about Overpower. If you use Overpower, now if you were to use Overpower, which you could do, you would have to, take points out of here, out of Thunderclap, and move them into Overpower. And what it does is improved Overpower increases the crit chance of your Overpower by, when you have 2 out of 2, it's 50%, but you're losing some stuff there. I actually don't even think you can do this. I think it has to come out of something else. Let's actually see this real quick. We'll go do this real fast just so I can show you. It's kind of a pain to even get down into here, right? So you get your 5 out of 5 to come down here. So you could go here, right? You could do this, anger management, deep wounds, impale. We need another ability. You can take a 3rd point into here. And then you could do a point into here. You could do this. You could do this, disciplines, one into here, one here, one here. Boom. Okay, you could do this, right? You could do this. However, with overpower, you would only ever want to use overpower to get yourself out of being rage starved, or basically, if Mortal Strike is on cooldown, Whirlwind is on cooldown, you have no little or no rage. So those three things, little or no rage, and you dodge an attack, um, you can swap over to battle stance and use overpower. Um, but if you're not talented into this and you don't crit, it's like it like literally does almost nothing, and then you swap back to berserker stance and you pretty much lose the rage that you would have gained anyways. When if you would have just stuck it out and gotten a couple extra auto attacks in, you pull yourself back out of that rage starve situation anyways. So and then also you don't have the thunderclap if you need it, and so I just personally I don't use it. Um, you could do it if you like two-handed arms. I know definitely uses overpower, but with kebab it's just really not worth it, honestly. Um, yeah, okay, so enough of that. Now we're gonna get back into we're gonna go into cooldowns next. So for cooldowns, these are your cooldowns basically that you'll have, um, along with whatever trinkets that you might have. So trinkets, I didn't put those here because I don't know if you're gonna have certain trinkets or not. So I'm just going off of warrior abilities, right? Blood Rage is a 1 minute cooldown, generates 10 rage, gives you at the cost of a little bit of health, and then it generates additional rage over 10 seconds. Pretty much just want to pop this all the time when you're in, when you're um, when you're going into fights. It's good. Gives you a little boost of rage. Recklessness. This is with the improved disciplines talent. You see, it's a 20-minute cooldown, um, and it makes it um, I think it's 21 seconds actually, because it gives you an extra 6 seconds. But your crits, you just crit like crazy, right? Recklessness is your big. This is your big cooldown. Death Wish, this is your big 3 minute cooldown. When activated, increases your physical damage by 20% and makes you immune to fear effects. But it also increases your damage taken. So if you're in a spot like there's a lot of heavy damage going out, you might not want to pop this, right? Because if you're about to die, this could kill you, but most of the time you don't have to worry about this. Healers are pretty good. And then depending on whether you're playing a troll or an orc, you're going to have Berserking or Blood Fury. I did not add in Tauren because they don't really have anything that increases their damage. Didn't include in Undead because their racial ability is just a fear break. Um, and then I didn't include any of the Alliance ones because they're not directly related to damage. Um, so Berserking increases your casting speed by 10% minimum, or up to 30%, depending on how badly injured you are. So if you can time this right, if you take a big chunk of damage and you time this right, you pop Berserking and you're able to pop your other cooldowns with it, it can give you a 30% attack speed increase, which could be huge. Um, Blood Fury increases attack power by, it's not 6, this is at level 1. It's a whole bunch of attack power, but also reduces the healing done on you by 50%. So kind of like with Death, a lot of the times we'll pair, Blood Fury, Death Wish, Recklessness, pair all these things together. Um, if there's like a lot of heavy damage going out and you pop all those things, your healers might not be able to top you off. So keep that in mind. And like if you're low health or you're taking a lot of damage, just don't be dumb and pop all your cooldowns in a bad place. Um, Now that pretty much goes through all of the gearing, the gems, the consumables, um, the questions I was asked. Now we're going to move over to our rotations, which are pretty straightforward. Really haven't changed at all. I'll go into a few things that you could do differently, but for single target, you're going to want to prioritize Whirlwind because Whirlwind, um, especially if you have the 2-piece Warbringer. This is for tier 4. Your 2-piece tier 4 set bonus, it reduces the rage cost of Whirlwind, so it makes Whirlwind your highest damage per rage ability. So you want to pop that. Whirlwind on cooldown, Mortal Strike on cooldown. If you got over 50 rage, dump your rage with Heroic Strike. However, do not mindlessly spam Heroic Strike, or you are going to rage starve yourself. Do not press Heroic Strike if it is going to cause you to miss a Whirlwind or a Mortal Strike when they come off cooldown. And then also with this that I did not put in here, if you are just unlimited rage and you're trying to and you want to fish for some flurry procs, you can also weave in a few hamstrings, because hamstrings can also trigger flurry, and that'll increase your attack speed if it crits. It's very low rage, so if you have a ton of rage and Whirlwind's on cooldown, Mortal Strike's on cooldown, and you're just over here spamming Heroic Strike, you can also pop in some hamstrings to try to get a couple extra procs out of it. Multi-target rotation, pretty simple. You're going to either charge in or run in, pop sweeping strikes, Whirlwind, cleave. Don't over spam your cleave like Heroic Strike and cause yourself to miss a Whirlwind. Always make sure that you only use cleave when you're going to guarantee that you have enough rage to hit Whirlwind when it comes off cooldown. Usually over 35 rage is 35-40 rage is a safe spot for me. Then we're going to go into execute phase. Execute phase, you just press execute. Just execute, execute, execute. If you really wanted to try and experiment with some things, you could hit Whirlwind and execute. But in my experience, I'm spamming execute so much, I don't have time or rage to press anything else. And it just spamming execute is what's worked the best for me. I know everybody's boy Tomato Saucin said before, if you weave in Whirlwinds in there as well, it'll yield you a better parse in the long run. However, in my experience and just for me personally, Execute has yielded better results for me personally. However, I will be trying the Whirlwind Execute thing as well, and we'll kind of compare logs and kind of see how it worked for me, and that will be in future guides. So that's kind of done it for the deep dive video here. I know this is kind of a longer video. However, yeah, again, if you guys have more questions, drop them in the comments below. If you want to see any other content, drop it in the comments below. Please like the video, consider subscribing if you enjoy this content and you want to see more kebab content. I'm going to be dropping dungeon videos. I'm going to be doing more guides. I'll do a guide on every phase before every phase comes out. I'll do an updated phase 1 guide, probably a couple weeks into the phase, once we kind of have a chance to test out some things and rock with some things and try out different gear sets. I'll make some updated videos. So there's going to be plenty of Kebab Warrior video content on this channel. So please consider subscribing. I need to stop talking so fast. Yeah, that's it. And until next time, yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.